Every single one of us has the ability to change the world. It's easy to think that world-changing ideas come from only a few, from those who have achieved great fame or fortune. But I'm here to tell you that the true power to create change lies within you right here, right now. The reason we sometimes don't act on this power is because we doubt ourselves. We think that the world is too large, the problems too complex, and our actions too small to make a difference. But that is not true. In fact, it is precisely because you have the power within you that the world can be changed. It starts with one person, with one idea, with one action. That's how movements begin. That's how revolutions happen. And that's how the world shifts. When you recognize the power inside of you, something changes. You stop seeing obstacles as walls, but as stepping stones. You begin to realize that every step you take, no matter how small, contributes to a larger, collective change. And here's the truth. When you begin to believe that your actions matter, they will. So, what does it mean to harness that power? It means aligning yourself with a greater purpose, one that drives you forward even when times are tough. It means acting with intention, understanding that your decisions ripple through your community, your workplace, and yes, even the world. Remember, the world doesn't change because of one big act. It changes because individuals like you take responsibility for their choices and lead with courage. So ask yourself, what is the world waiting for? It's waiting for you to recognize that you have the power, you already possess it. Every single one of us has the ability to change the world. It's easy to think that world-changing ideas come only from a few individuals, those who are highly visible or have immense resources. The truth, however, is that the potential for change lies within each one of us. You might not see yourself as a world changer, but that doesn't mean you're not one. Often, we underestimate the power we hold because the idea of changing the world feels overwhelmingly grand. We imagine it requires something monumental, something extraordinary. But that's not how change happens. Think about the way movements have always started. They begin with one person, just one person, taking a stand, starting a conversation, taking an action. It's never a single giant leap. It's a series of small steps, each one building on the last, each one sparking a wave of actions that ultimately create a larger shift. Whether it's a scientist making a discovery or a teacher inspiring a student, these moments often go unnoticed at first. But they matter. They matter because each small act carries the potential to cause a ripple that can grow into something much bigger. You see, change doesn't come from grand gestures alone. It's in the quiet determination of individuals who decide they won't accept the world as it is. It's in the courage of the person who dares to believe that something better is possible, no matter how improbable it might seem. And the thing is, this power to create change is already inside of you. It's always been there. What holds us back is the belief that we're not capable of making a difference. We think, I'm just one person, what can I do? This feeling is a natural part of being human. But what if, just for a moment, you allowed yourself to consider the possibility that you have more power than you realize? What if you stopped seeing yourself as a small, insignificant individual in a large world, and instead began to see yourself as someone who holds the potential to create something meaningful? The moment you begin to understand that the power to change the world lies within you, everything shifts. It's like turning on a light in a dark room. You suddenly see that the space around you is filled with opportunities to act, to make choices that matter, to lead by example. When you understand this, you stop feeling overwhelmed by the enormity of the world's problems, and you start seeing how you, with your unique abilities and perspective, can contribute in ways that matter. Think of it like this. A single spark doesn't seem like much on its own, but when it catches the right fuel, it can ignite a fire that spreads far and wide. That spark is you. Your actions, no matter how small they may seem, have the power to start a fire, one that can transform your community, your workplace, and yes, even the world. But the key is in recognizing that you are that spark. You don't have to wait for someone else to act first. You don't have to wait for the perfect moment or the perfect conditions. You see, the world is not waiting for someone else to create change. It's waiting for you to step up and act. The reason change doesn't happen as quickly as we'd like is not because it's impossible, but because too many of us hold back waiting for the right time or the right opportunity. But what if the right time is now? What if your actions, no matter how small, are precisely what the world needs? Don't underestimate the impact of your decisions. Every time you act with intention, with purpose, you create a shift. It doesn't matter how small the act may seem. The key is that you're doing it. You're contributing to something bigger than yourself, and in doing so, you inspire others to do the same. Because the truth is, we all have a part to play. The world changes not because of one single, extraordinary event, but because millions of people like you make decisions, take action, and work together towards something better. So, when you begin to see that you hold the power to make a difference, you stop asking, "What can I do?" and instead start asking, "What will I do?" You start thinking, "I am part of the solution." And once you believe that, once you really understand it, you begin to take those small steps, which, over time, lead to profound change. Remember, you are not a passive observer of the world. You are an active participant. You have the ability to shape the world around you in ways that are uniquely yours, and that is the power you hold. That is the power you carry within you every single day. It all starts with you. So we've established that each one of us has the power to change the world, but here's where many of us get stuck: doubt. We start to doubt ourselves. We start to think, "Who am I to think I can make a difference?" This is a natural reaction. We live in a world that often celebrates only the grandest achievements, the loudest voices, and the most noticeable success. We're bombarded with stories of the few who seem to have everything, the right resources, the right networks, the right timing. And we look at ourselves and think, "I don't have that. What can I do?" This self-doubt is not a flaw, it's simply part of being human. We all face it. It's that little voice in the back of our minds telling us that our efforts won't matter, that we're too small to make an impact. It tells us that we're not capable, not experienced enough, or not equipped to take on the challenges we see before us. And in those moments, it's easy to give in to that voice, to let the fear of failure or inadequacy keep us from taking action. But here's the thing: doubt, while natural, is not the truth. What if instead of letting doubt control us, we allowed ourselves to believe in our potential? What if we looked at our doubts not as roadblocks, but as signs that we're on the edge of something important? Because doubt often arises when we're pushing ourselves outside of our comfort zones. When we're about to do something significant, something that challenges the way we think, doubt rears its head. It's there because we're stepping into unknown territory. But the thing about doubt is that it doesn't define us unless we allow it to. Think about it this way: every great change in history started with someone who doubted themselves. Every leader, every innovator, every person who's ever made a meaningful difference in the world at some point asked, "Can I do this?" They all experienced fear, uncertainty, and yes, doubt. But what set them apart wasn't that they didn't feel doubt. It was that they chose to act anyway. They chose to move forward despite the fear, despite the uncertainty, and despite the voices in their heads telling them they weren't enough. What's important to understand is that doubt is not an indicator of your capability. It's simply a reflection of the fact that you're about to do something that matters. If it didn't matter, you wouldn't feel that sense of hesitation. If it didn't challenge you, you wouldn't experience the pushback from your own mind. But that resistance, that uncertainty, is often the very thing that signals you're on the right path. It means you're stepping outside your comfort zone and into a space where real growth happens. When we doubt ourselves, we often forget that the very fact we're questioning our abilities is proof that we're growing. It means we're stepping into something new, something that's going to require more from us than we've given before. And that's where growth happens. The more we embrace that discomfort, the more we push through the doubt, the stronger we become. But how do we overcome this doubt and push forward? It starts with a shift in mindset. Instead of asking, "Can I do this?" ask yourself, "What if I can?" What if the doubt you feel is simply an invitation to grow, to push yourself in ways you never thought possible? What if the only thing standing between where you are now and where you want to be is your willingness to take the first step, even when you're not sure what lies ahead. This shift in thinking is incredibly powerful because it changes the way we approach obstacles. Instead of seeing doubt as a barrier, we start to see it as a sign that we're heading in the right direction. And the more we face that doubt head on, the more we realize that we are capable of much more than we initially believed. It's in those moments of uncertainty that we truly discover our strength. Overcoming doubt is not about eliminating it entirely. It's about learning to act despite it. It's about realizing that doubt is a normal part of the process, but it doesn't have to control us. Every step forward, no matter how small, is a victory, and the more victories we accumulate, the more our confidence grows. The key is not letting the doubt stop you. The key is to acknowledge it, understand that it's a natural part of growth, and then move forward anyway. Because once you start acting in spite of your doubt, you'll begin to realize that your doubts were never the real barrier. The real barrier was simply your decision to let them hold you back. So, the next time doubt creeps in, instead of backing away, lean into it. See it for what it is, an opportunity to grow, and remind yourself that the very fact you're feeling it means you're on the edge of something important. You have what it takes, you are capable, you've always been capable. Now it's time to believe it. Once you do, the world will start to change. Because when you believe in yourself, you begin to take action. And that's when everything begins to shift. We've talked about how each of us has the power to change the world and how doubt can hold us back from realizing that power. But here's the next important part of this journey, understanding that small actions lead to big shifts. It's easy to fall into the trap of thinking that change only comes from dramatic, large-scale efforts. We see headlines about world-changing innovations or movements that seem to happen overnight, and we think that's how change works. But the truth is, the most profound changes often begin with something small, something almost unnoticed at first. And if we understand this, we'll start to see the enormous potential in the seemingly insignificant things we do every day. Think about the way a forest grows. It doesn't start with a towering tree. It begins with a single seed, small and inconspicuous, planted in the ground. Over time, with the right conditions, that seed begins to grow, one tiny root at a time. It's gradual, it's not immediate. But over years, that small seed turns into something that provides shelter, oxygen, and food for countless others. But if you were to look at that seed in the beginning, you wouldn't think it had the power to change the world. And yet, in the right environment, that small, unassuming seed has the potential to do just that. The same is true for us. Often, we think that in order to make a difference, we have to take on something monumental. We think we have to have all the answers, all the resources, or all the right circumstances lined up. But that's not how change works. Change doesn't wait for perfection. It begins with one small action, one decision to do something, even when we don't know exactly how it will turn out. And over time, those small actions compound. They build upon each other, creating a momentum that leads to something much bigger than we ever imagined. Take a moment to think about the small things in your life. Maybe it's the way you show up for a colleague when they're going through a tough time. Maybe it's the decision to take the extra step to help someone, even when it's inconvenient. Or maybe it's the time you decide to speak up in a meeting, even when your voice feels small and unsure. These actions, while they might seem insignificant in the moment, carry more weight than we realize. They create a ripple effect. When we act with intention, even in the smallest ways, we're setting an example for others. And those others, they start to act too. When you take action, no matter how small, you're planting a seed, and over time, that seed can grow. It might not seem like much in the moment, but it's in the accumulation of these small moments that change happens. Think about the impact of a simple word of encouragement. A single phrase of support can turn someone's day around, giving them the confidence they need to take the next step. That small action might seem like nothing in the moment, but for that person, it could be the difference between giving up or pushing forward. We often hear about the big, world-changing events that get all the attention. But the reality is, the most significant changes often happen in the quiet moments. It's in the one-on one conversations, the small decisions, and the everyday acts of kindness. These are the moments that add up. And when you start to recognize that every small action you take matters, you begin to see the larger impact of your behavior. It's also important to remember that you don't need to see the immediate results of your actions for them to matter. Change isn't always something you can measure right away. Often, the impact of what we do takes time to show itself, but that doesn't mean it isn't happening. Just because you can't see the immediate result doesn't mean the seed you've planted isn't starting to grow. You may never see the full extent of the change you've set in motion, and that's okay. What matters is that you acted. Every time you choose to do something positive, no matter how small, you are contributing to the collective change. Your actions are part of a much larger movement that you may not even be able to see yet. And when you realize that, you begin to appreciate the power of the small moments. You begin to understand that change isn't about waiting for something big to happen. It's about creating those big moments through the small, everyday actions we take. In the end, it's these small actions that accumulate over time, building on one another to create lasting change. They might seem insignificant in the moment, but when you step back and look at the bigger picture, you begin to see the impact you've had. So, don't wait for the big, world-changing moment. Start with the small actions, the things you can do right now. And as you do, you'll begin to see how those small efforts add up, creating a shift that's greater than you could have imagined. Change begins with you, and it starts with the small things. Now, let's talk about aligning yourself with a greater purpose. We've already explored how each of us has the power to change the world, and how small actions lead to big shifts. But if you want those actions to have true meaning, if you want to ensure that the energy you put into the world is directed towards something greater than yourself, it all starts with understanding your purpose. Purpose is the compass that guides us, the force that drives us forward, even when things get tough. Without it, we can feel lost, unsure of which direction to take or what's worth fighting for. But when you align yourself with a purpose, something powerful happens. Purpose isn't just about achieving personal success or reaching a specific goal. It's about connecting to something bigger than yourself. It's about understanding that what you do matters not only to you but to the world around you. It's that deep knowing that your actions, your decisions, and your efforts contribute to something much larger, a vision, a cause, or a movement. When you connect with that deeper purpose, every challenge you face becomes more meaningful. It gives you a reason to keep going, even when the road is difficult, even when it seems like the world is throwing obstacles in your path. But finding your purpose is not always easy. It's not something that comes to you overnight. It's a journey, one that takes time, introspection, and sometimes a little bit of trial and error. You don't necessarily wake up one day with all the answers, but the key is to start searching, to begin the process of connecting with what matters most to you. What lights a fire inside of you? What do you feel passionate about? What do you care about deeply, to the point where you're willing to put in the work even when no one is watching? That's where your purpose begins. When you align with your purpose, it provides clarity. You begin to understand why you're doing what you're doing. Whether it's your job, your relationships, or the way you contribute to your community, everything starts to make sense when you see it through the lens of purpose. You stop getting bogged down by the small, day-to-day inconveniences because you're focused on the bigger picture. Purpose gives you the strength to overcome setbacks and to keep going, even when things don't go according to plan. And believe me, things won't always go according to plan. But when you have a strong sense of purpose, those setbacks don't feel like insurmountable obstacles. They're just bumps in the road that you know you can get past because you're driven by something deeper. When we lack purpose, we can feel disconnected. We go through the motions, doing what's expected of us without really understanding why we're doing it. It can lead to a sense of emptiness, of feeling like we're just spinning our wheels without making real progress. But when we find our purpose, everything changes. The work you do becomes meaningful. The challenges you face become opportunities to grow. And most importantly, the impact you have on others becomes more profound. Take a moment to think about the people who inspire you, the ones who have made a lasting impact on the world, chances are they weren't just focused on their own personal success. They were driven by something bigger than themselves. They had a purpose that fueled them, something that pushed them to keep going even when the journey was difficult. Whether it was a social cause, a vision for a better world, or a commitment to helping others, that sense of purpose guided them through the toughest times and allowed them to accomplish incredible things. Now imagine what you could accomplish if you had that same sense of purpose driving you. What if every decision you made, every action you took, was aligned with something larger than yourself? What if your daily choices were guided by a clear sense of what truly matters to you? The impact you could have would be far greater than anything you could do by just focusing on personal success. Purpose gives you direction, it gives you focus, and when you lead with purpose, you inspire others to do the same. It's important to remember that purpose doesn't have to be something grand or world-changing. It doesn't have to be about solving all of society's problems or leading a global movement. Purpose is personal, and it can be found in the small, everyday things. Maybe your purpose is to be the best parent you can be, to make a difference in your community, or to help others discover their potential. Whatever it is, when you connect with that purpose, it makes everything you do feel more meaningful. It shifts your mindset from simply getting by to truly living with intention and passion. So, take the time to explore your purpose, reflect on what matters to you and what you want your life to stand for. Align your actions with that purpose and watch how it transforms not only your life but the lives of those around you. When you act with purpose, you inspire others to find their own, and in doing so, you create a ripple effect that can change the world. Purpose isn't just a lofty ideal, it's the foundation upon which everything else is built. When you align with your purpose, you unlock a power within yourself that allows you to make a true impact, no matter how big or small. The world needs you to find your purpose, because only then can you fully tap into your potential and make a lasting difference. Now, let's dive into something that often gets overlooked when we talk about making a difference: patience. We live in a world that thrives on immediacy. Everything is about instant gratification. We can get food delivered to our door within minutes, communicate with anyone around the world in real time, and access nearly any piece of information with just a click of a button. In this environment, it's easy to forget that real, meaningful change takes time. We want to see results right away, and when we don't, we can get frustrated. But here's the thing: real change, the kind that lasts and creates a true impact, doesn't happen overnight. It takes time, it takes persistence, and it takes patience. We often hear the stories of successful people who seem to have made it overnight. We see their achievements, their breakthroughs, and we think that their success was quick and easy. But what we don't see are the years of hard work, the countless failures, the moments of doubt and uncertainty they faced along the way. Success doesn't happen without struggle. Real change doesn't happen without effort, without pushing through obstacles, without continuing to show up when things don't look promising. The key to understanding patience is realizing that it's not about waiting idly for something to happen. Patience is about continuing to take action, even when the results aren't immediate. It's about staying focused on the bigger picture, knowing that the work you're putting in today will pay off down the road, even if you can't see the immediate impact. It's about understanding that the process is just as important as the outcome, and in a world where we want everything right now, this can be one of the hardest lessons to learn. Think about planting a tree. When you plant a seed, you don't see immediate growth. You don't wake up the next morning to a full-grown tree. Instead, you see a small sprout, something that barely breaks through the soil. But if you keep watering it, if you keep nurturing it, if you keep tending to it, over time, that small sprout will grow into something strong and powerful. The process is gradual, but the results are worth the wait. And that's what patience is all about. It's about trusting the process. It's about continuing to take those small steps every day, even when you don't see the immediate fruits of your labor. One of the biggest challenges we face is the temptation to give up when we don't see instant results. We live in a culture that celebrates quick success and instant rewards, and when we don't see that in our own lives, it can be discouraging. But change, real change, takes time. It takes consistency. It takes dedication. It takes the willingness to keep going, even when it feels like nothing is happening. But if you're committed to your cause, committed to your purpose, and you keep taking action, you will begin to see results. And the results you see will be more profound because they've been built on a foundation of persistence and patience. Patience also requires us to accept failure along the way. The truth is, failure is part of the process. It's not something to be avoided, it's something to be embraced. Failure is not a sign that we're on the wrong path, it's simply a part of the journey. Every failure teaches us something valuable. It teaches us what doesn't work, and it pushes us to try again, to refine our approach, to grow. Without failure, we wouldn't learn the lessons that help us get closer to success. So, when you face setbacks, when things don't go according to plan, remember that this is just part of the process. It's not the end. It's just another step in the journey. Another important aspect of patience is the ability to celebrate the small wins along the way. When we're focused on the end goal, it's easy to overlook the progress we've already made. But every step forward, no matter how small, is a victory. Every time you push through doubt, every time you show up, every time you continue working toward your goal, you're making progress. And that progress deserves to be celebrated. It's easy to get discouraged when we're focused solely on the final outcome. But when we take a moment to appreciate the small victories, we stay motivated and energized. These small wins are what keep us moving forward. It's also important to remember that patience doesn't mean doing nothing. Patience is not about waiting for things to change on their own. It's about continuing to work, to take action, and to trust that the results will come in time. It's about understanding that real, lasting change is built over time, one step at a time. So, don't get discouraged when things don't change as quickly as you would like. Trust the process. Keep working toward your goal, and know that every small action is bringing you closer to the outcome you desire. The world is full of people who gave up just before the breakthrough. They stopped working, they stopped believing, and they missed the change that was just around the corner. The key to creating meaningful change is persistence. It's the willingness to keep going, even when it feels like nothing is happening. It's the patience to know that your efforts matter, even when you can't see immediate results. The work you're doing today will pay off. The change you're working toward will come, but it will take time. So stay patient, stay persistent, and keep moving forward. The world needs you to keep going. Finally, let's talk about the importance of believing in yourself. I know it can be challenging. Life often throws obstacles our way, and doubt can creep in when things get tough. But the reality is this: if you don't believe in yourself, it's incredibly hard for others to believe in you too. Belief in yourself is not about arrogance or thinking you're better than others. It's about knowing your worth, understanding your potential, and having the confidence to take action, even when you're uncertain about the outcome. It's about trusting that you have what it takes to make a difference, and recognizing that you are the only person who can truly change your life. So many times, we find ourselves stuck because we don't believe we're capable of achieving our goals. We look at others who seem to have it all together, and we feel like we don't measure up. But here's the truth: everyone starts somewhere, everyone faces challenges, everyone has moments of doubt. The difference between those who succeed and those who don't isn't that some people have an innate gift or that they're more talented. It's that they believe in themselves, and they're willing to keep moving forward, even when things don't go according to plan. Believing in yourself doesn't mean that you think you have all the answers. It doesn't mean that you never doubt yourself or your abilities. In fact, doubt is natural, and it's okay to feel uncertain at times. What belief in yourself really means is that you trust that you can figure things out. It means that even in the face of uncertainty, you trust your ability to adapt, learn, and grow. It means that when you encounter obstacles, you don't give up. You find a way to overcome them. It's the mindset that says, even though I don't have all the answers now, I will keep moving forward and find the path that works for me. One of the most powerful things about believing in yourself is that it frees you from the need for approval from others. Too often, we allow the opinions and judgments of others to hold us back. We look for validation from the people around us before we take action. But if you wait for the world to tell you that you're ready, you'll never take the first step. True belief in yourself means you're willing to take that step, regardless of what others think. It's not about seeking external validation. It's about trusting your own judgment, your own instincts, and your own potential. When you believe in yourself, you also become more resilient. Life is full of setbacks, and no one is immune to failure. The question isn't whether you'll fail, it's how you'll respond when you do. People who believe in themselves don't let failure define them. They don't see it as a reflection of their worth. Instead, they see it as a learning experience, as an opportunity to grow. They understand that setbacks are simply part of the process, and they're not afraid to try again, to adapt, and to keep pushing forward. One of the most important aspects of self-belief is the ability to stay focused on your purpose. When you're clear about your purpose, when you know why you're doing what you're doing, it becomes easier to believe in yourself. Your purpose gives you the motivation to keep going, even when things are hard. It provides the foundation for your belief because you're not doing it for the approval of others or for short-term success. You're doing it because it's part of who you are, because you've connected with something bigger than yourself. But self-belief isn't just about achieving personal success, it's also about helping others believe in themselves. When you believe in your own potential, it inspires others to believe in theirs. Your confidence becomes contagious. When you take action and show up with belief, you demonstrate to those around you that it's possible to take the leap, to follow your dreams, and to make a difference. Your belief in yourself becomes a source of inspiration for others to believe in themselves too. So, how do you start believing in yourself? It begins with small steps. It starts with changing the way you talk to yourself. Pay attention to the words you use. Are you kind to yourself? Do you encourage yourself, or do you tear yourself down? Self-belief is built by practicing positive self-talk, by challenging negative thoughts, and by recognizing your strengths. It's about celebrating the progress you've made, no matter how small, and acknowledging that you are capable of more than you think. Another way to build belief in yourself is to surround yourself with people who lift you up, who remind you of your potential, and who support your dreams. You can't do this alone. There will be times when you doubt yourself, and in those moments, it's crucial to have people around you who remind you of your worth, and who encourage you to keep going. Surrounding yourself with positive influences can help reinforce your own belief in yourself. And finally, take action. The more you step out of your comfort zone, the more you prove to yourself that you are capable of handling whatever comes your way. Each small action you take builds your confidence. Each time you face a fear or challenge and overcome it, you strengthen your belief in yourself. It's through doing that you realize your true potential. Belief in yourself is the foundation for everything. When you believe in yourself, you unlock a power that no one can take away. You become unstoppable. You begin to realize that you have everything you need within you to create the life you want. The world is waiting for you to believe in yourself and step into the power that's always been there.